Hello. How's everybody doing? All right. This is just the crowd I wanted tonight, too, man. I seriously just wanted to hang out with you guys a little bit. I I got off work. I got off work and I took a nap. Like straight, like in my work clothes. I just like popped in bed and just took a nap. And like I didn't drink or anything last night, I don't know. I went to bed, usual time, give or take, and then I don't know. I woke up at like 7, couldn't go back to sleep right away, and then I went to work today, and I had a decent day. It was nice. It was the first Saturday that I didn't have to close, which is fantastic. I prefer to have Saturdays off because Saturdays suck at my job, but I think it doesn't matter. Like if you work 5 days a week, the last day sucks. It's the hardest for a lot of jobs. I don't know what it is. I mean, the Karens come out of nowhere. Like they all shuffle in on Saturday, all the Karens with the, 10 kids, and it's just like, fuck. Um, Let me say hi to everybody real quick. All right. Tattoos Lulas was here first. Well, how about that? Christy Love, Kay Harriger, Anna Gundamson. Look at you. Wow. Amy Heron, Katie 2, Anna Gundamson is how I like to say it. Jason, my man. Shelby M, Katie 2, Bite Me, Cherry K. Don't Mess with Texas. Hello. Perfectly Imperfect. Renee, Mama of 2, Christy Love, Siren Jag, Blonde Ambition 1980, Nicole H, Elizabeth Ballinger, Shetty. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Spanish, so it's Jetty Perez. Like, I mean, in Spanish, chicken is chicken and shoes are shoes. So that's just how that is. I don't make the rules. Jetty Perez. Candice Pena Rice. Evelyn Arnaud. Sandy Jersey Girl, what's up? Locomai. Amy H. Yeah, man. We're just gonna kick it tonight. So I'm drinking coffee. I watched Coming to America the night before last, I think. Last night I started watching. Now we're doing this tonight, but the next thing that I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be talking about the Dave Belvallo thing. That is, I've been following it loosely since it started, and I'm going to be honest with you, I couldn't understand what the hell was going on with that case because there's so many people involved. But once you get the pattern of things and how they kind of come together, it's because it's either very confusing or it's like it adds up. You know what I mean? And it finally all added up to me. And so and it only took this long. But I'm gonna talk about that because I mean, guys, there's gonna be a lot of cases coming up, a lot of court trials coming up. We've got Letitia Stock, we got the Daniels, Crystal and Joe Sr., right? Or technically Joe Jr. We've got the Dave Belvallo thing. It's going to be a busy spring and summer, I think, guys. So And I'm gonna be honest here, man. I don't know if I should wait to say this, but I don't care. I don't give a fuck. So uh I gotta be honest. Man, there's a couple of these cases where I feel like there's a good chance that these people can walk, and we know they're guilty. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know they're guilty. It's not like I want to find out if they did it or not. Like, this is a case that the court is not going to determine whether or not these people were responsible. That's already. Thank you, Bonnie. I appreciate that. That we we already know every single one of the cases that I just mentioned. We know the person's guilty. I never say that shit. I never say that. Every single one of these cases, we know that the people on trial are guilty. Now, let's look at the Daybell thing, right? For those of you who are already caught up on it, I'm going to go over a timeline. I'm going to go over pretty much a summary of it, but we're really going to focus on our opinions and theories on how things went down and why they would go down. So when it comes to the Daybell thing, the Daybell Vallow thing, I mean, there's a good chance they could. I mean, they haven't been charged with a murder charge yet. Neither one of them have been charged with murder yet. Think about that. We know they had something to do with that shit. We know. I mean, these kids were found on Chad Daybell's property. We hear the phone call, right? We hear the phone call between him and Lori when Lori calls, or when she calls him from jail. And she calls him from jail, and he's sitting on the property telling her they're searching the property right now. But he's doing it in this really ominous, yet like it's ominously an innocent voice. It's almost like she mommies him. And it's really strange. But the reaction to they're searching my property, there's not. The reaction is very, very, they're searching the property, you know, not, oh my God, what the fuck are these people doing here on my property digging up holes? He's just like, they're here searching the property. Yet, here's the thing, is the defense or the prosecution is going to have to prove that these two people were directly involved in the planning and murder of this child, of these children. Excuse me. And the guy whose cell phone is pinged in those places on the property the day that these children disappeared, each time, is dead. He's dead. So there's a reason why these people are in custody right now with charges that are valid, absolutely. But there's a reason why they're in custody right now, but they have yet to be charged with anything murder related. Even though their bodies were missing this whole time, they didn't seem to care. Or they were missing this whole time. They didn't seem to care, but their bodies were recovered, buried on Chad Daybell's property. Yet they might get away with it. So the prosecution has to prove. And this whole time, they've been doing nothing but stonewalling everybody. TV reporters get in their face. They act like they're rock stars running from the paparazzi. Yeah, so that's what's crazy fascinating to me, is they've acted like nothing this whole time. They haven't even tried to pretend like they're not concerned or like they are concerned. They haven't. They haven't even. They haven't put on an act. They acted like Alec Baldwin did when somebody accused him of like domestic violence. It's crazy to me. So the audacity of these people is what makes us all go, you know what? Yeah, man, these people need to be locked the fuck up. Like, I need to watch this happen. So yeah, I'm gonna cover it. I'm not gonna go too deep into it now because I'm gonna cover it. But hey, Nicole H, how are we doing? So yeah, we're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have a lot of time to talk about the Daybell Vallow thing. A lot of other channels have been covering it, and I'm gonna be honest. Like, I remember Annie was covering it. 10 to Life, she's covering it, and I was modding her chat, and she has a really big chat, you know, and so I'm modding her chat, and I'm too ADHD. I can't focus on doing on that and that case. Some cases I could follow, get kind of the cliff notes, you know what I mean, as she's talking, but she delivers the information just, I mean, she spits it out, you know what I mean? And it's consistent and it's articulate, but the problem is that it's just going, and I'm looking at the chat, making sure everybody's not being a shitbag and trying to drop links, you know? So yeah, I was lost on that. And I remember even before that, I remember when this first started, when the word got out that these kids were missing, Danielle from Wicked Truths and F-Bombs, right? Danielle had a channel called Real Massacre Talk, and she was talking about that case with her ex-partner. She was talking about that case, and there would be like 12 people in the chat. You know, that's, I mean, back then. And I remember like listening to her talk about it, and I was just like, wait, what? I don't, wait a minute. They went and got married in Hawaii while their kids are missing? I was like, what in the hell is going on? None of it made sense to me. So you have behavior that I've never seen before come from people involved in a true crime case. And on top of that, you have a shit ton of people engaging in behavior that I've never heard of in a true crime case. So there's just a bunch of people. And then you throw in the LDS factor in the whole thing, which makes it even crazier. So yeah, I'm just now understanding this case. I'm just now understanding it. So speaking of Annie, so today she texted me. Remember she had what's his name? King, his last name, the guy from Profiling Evil, on her channel a few times back when she was alive. And I can't remember his first name for the life of me, but I remember his last name's King, and he wrote a book. And she was telling me, she texted me telling me that the book is so good, you know, and she was going to send it to me. She was like, if you want, I'll send you my copy when I'm done, because it's really, really good. So I was like, you know what? Probably not. Don't do that. And so I basically told her, I was like, I don't want you to do that. Like, because my brother sometimes sends me books, you know, my brother sometimes sends me books, and I never get around to reading them. I might start, and then I just don't have the attention span to finish a book. And say what you will about that. I don't blame you. But I'm not a reader. I just I don't have the attention span to finish a whole book. I could be reading a book, and I was always the kid in school that could read faster and more articulate than everyone. And I don't know, I lost that later on, probably, the lifestyle I've led growing up. But yeah, dyslexia too, Rustling. So yeah, but I just don't have the patience. I mean, dude, it's just, and so I started telling Annie about, because ironically, when she tells me this, I explained to her, yeah, I don't have the attention span for it. No, I'm probably not going to read it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to send it to me. And then I never get around. I'll be that guy that never gets around to reading the book that you lent them. I'm always that guy, so don't even bother. And yeah, audiobooks probably, Caleb Mandrake. Yeah, audiobooks probably help. I don't even know if I have the attention span for that. Maybe like when I'm at the gym, maybe, or something. But I mean, still, even an audiobook could take me forever to finish. It just will. I don't even know how so. And Cherry K, it's funny that you say that with your little hashtags that I love. It's funny that you should say that, because I started telling Annie that I was having a similar conversation with a coworker last night. And I work with, there's a few of the guys they're like, in their 20s, and it's kind of cool because a couple of them remind me of my kid, or both of them actually. And so I have that same kind of humor dynamic with them, just with, and just to make the day go by faster. I'm just silly all fucking day. I'm just on and silly all fucking day. And it's just to make work fun and make it go by faster. And there's this kid who's semi new, right? And it was fun because his girlfriend was there just kind of hanging out. She brought him some food. And I started talking about how movies are just evolved versions of books. And I started trying to make him feel dumb for still reading books, when really, obviously, if you're a book reader, you're definitely more of an intellectual than someone like me who just watches movies. But I was so, yes, Terry K, not only do I troll here, but I troll in my everyday life as well. So I just started fucking with this kid, and I just tried to like make him think that books and reading books is just a waste of time when you could just watch the movie. And he knows in his heart that he's wrong, but he likes me. And he can't really tell if I'm fucking with him or not at first, if I'm serious. So like, he just kind of, and he just can't help but counter my argument, every time. So I text Annie, and I was just like, I'm telling her this. I'm like, yeah. So it's funny that we're having this conversation, because I'm like, I've been trolling my coworker since last night about about how books are just, the movies are just books evolved. Like, it makes no sense to continue to drag on that old technology, because when I say it out loud to you guys, I realize how fucking stupid I sound. But I'm making my coworkers laugh, so I just keep a straight face and I just keep going. And because I'm trying to like convince them that I actually think this way. And obviously other serious conversations that we have would contradict anybody who feels this way. It's ridiculous. So I just don't read books because I have a short attention span. That's it. But I'm sitting here justifying it, trying to make him feel stupid for still reading books when I'm like, dude, I just watched the movie. You know, like why? And and the way I explained it to Annie at the one example was, why would you, if reading books versus watching movies is like riding a mule to work versus driving a car. It makes absolutely no sense why anyone with a brain would do this. It makes absolutely no sense at all. And they're just like, wait, what? Like you can't honestly feel this way. And I'm just like, dude, think about it. Like, why wouldn't they just release the script to a movie and instead of spending all the millions of dollars to actually recreate what's in the script, actually put in and literally realize what is in this script so that you can see it? Why in the shit would they spend all the money to do that when they could just sell the screenplay and you could read it? And I go on with this bullshit for like 3 or 4 hours because it's an 8-hour shift. I just go on with that bullshit on and on. So that's what my last couple of days at work were like. Oh, dude, I'm always high if I can help it when I come on here. I may not be drinking, but I'm always smoking. Always. I'm doing drugs on camera. I do, Kathy. I've been that way my whole life. I've been that way my whole life. Either I'm making you laugh or I'm getting on your last nerve. Like that's just how I've always been. And it's more often the latter. It's more often the latter for sure. I have a talent for getting on your last nerve. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't smoke like before or at work. Um I just yeah, I don't do that. Like when I smoke, it's like when I come home and I'm chilling. Like I know I got the next 2 days off. So it's I definitely indulged a little bit and it's nice, and I'm trying to get back to like, I'm trying not to drink as much. It's not for any reason. It's simply because it fucking turns into sugar and I let my gut like totally come back. I totally did. I let my gut come back. So I'm just, I don't want alcohol turns into sugar, man. There's tons of calories in it. I mean, not all alcohol, but if I even just drank vodka, say that has like no calories, right? It would still turn into sugar, and it'd be bad. And everything you retain water with alcohol as well, and I just prefer to not do it all the time, forever. You know, so what's up, Faith Fit Fun? Cherry K said, I don't drink. It makes me naked. That doesn't really happen to me too often. That doesn't happen to me too often. But I might get soul naked, you know. Yeah, I might get soul naked, which is not always very good. I am definitely, as we all know, capable of irrational behavior when I drink. Yeah, bite me. I mean, it's not always my liver needs a break so much. I mean, yeah, that's true for sure. But it's more about, you know, to, I work at a gym, and I like to exercise. But what's the point of exercising if I'm still putting nasty shit into my body all the time? In moderation, that's cool. But, you know, 3, 4 times a week, come on, that's too much. That's too much. And the fact that I don't have to work till the afternoon makes it easier to do that. And I don't like that. So I want to get back into the habit. When I first moved here, when I first got on YouTube, get back into the habit of just like trying to, yeah, focus on, you know, exercise. So the idea is to like wear myself out like I used to. I used to work out hardcore twice a day and then work my work shift and then go home and then I'd be zonked. But I have to get up early enough to like be so tired when I get home. Yeah, I mean it's bad for. I mean, there's no denying that it's not good. There's no denying that. Ben Franklin would argue that beer is, you know, the greatest thing that God. I don't know the quote, but I know he was quoted in saying something about it being the best thing God ever created. But so people differ, but it's obviously not good for you. Uh, and but at the same time, you know, I don't know if I would know the things that I know today. Drinking's caused me to do so much stupid shit that it's it's gotten me to a point to where I know things better, you know, for having done such stupid shit that I may not have ever done had I not been drinking. So, I mean, what are you going to do there? Okay. Kat Yanesh she's already where she's wants to be as far as that stuff goes. You guys want to know a secret? So I I ate some mushrooms uh, about a week ago, just under a week ago. And I stayed off YouTube for the most part. But my man Mexi, he doesn't know this. I haven't told anybody. But my man Mexi was live doing the John Bonet thing, right? It was, dude, it was fucking me up. It was fucking me up so bad. I was laughing, but I was like, because Mexi's live, right? I ate an entire eighth of shrooms, and and, and Mexi goes live and he does the John Bonet thing where he parks in front of John Bonet's house and he's doing the spirit box thing in the car, and it's dope. Like when he does it, it's dope, right? And and I was participating in his chat, but I was tripping balls, man. I'm not even trying to lie about it. I was definitely, yeah, I was definitely on another level, and it was fun. I'm not even trying to lie. It was fun because what was really funny about it is and I wanted to type this in the chat so bad, but I just didn't want to because I knew the chat would be like, "What, Claire? What the fuck?" And I didn't need that fucking with me at that moment. You know what I mean? But I so, but the thing about it is, at that point, my visuals were going off so hard. Like I was, my man, everything was distorted and embellished, and you know, if you've ever done shrooms and tripped real hard on them, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And so I'm looking at Mexi. I'm looking at Mexi, and he's doing the John Bonet thing, and he's telling you to look. He's telling you to look at this spot, and I wasn't even sure what I was looking. I think it was a tree in front of the house, and he's like, "This spot, man, watch it. It's like a light, and then it just fades away and disappears." And he kept playing it over and over again. And I was like, nah, man, you did that somehow. Because what he's showing was freaky. But he also kept saying, check this out and look at that thing. Did you see that thing move? And I'm going, dude, the whole fucking thing is moving right now. What are you talking about? Every single thing I'm looking at is moving. How am I I just did not want to disrupt what he was trying to do, but I was seriously in a rare form in that chat, and I was cracking up because he's going, did you see that thing move? And I'm like, what thing? The whole fucking thing's moving. It was it was quite the experience. I could say that I watched one of Mexi's live streams on shrooms, and it wasn't planned. I was just like, oh, well, let me do the stupidest thing in the world and go see what's on YouTube right now. So it's funny though. It was fun. I'm actually glad I did. What the fuck were you doing on the highway, Nicole H? Fuck is wrong with you? Don't do that. I mean, I talked about this. I think I had that girl on panel, and we were talking about it, Kathy. But I'm not, I'm not recommending that anyone do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but I'm also not gonna like tell you not to. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, because it would be clearly hypocritical of me. But second of all, it's not what you think. I mean, I don't look at it as a narcotic. I don't look at it as that. I mean, as long as you have control over your own mind to a certain degree, you're able to think logically. Like, all you have to really do is have enough sense to go 2 and 2 equals that. I ate mushrooms, expected an effect to happen, and this is the effect. So I'm going to just enjoy it as best as I possibly can and realize that it's not going to feel like this in a couple of hours. This is just something, but I don't know you. I don't know if you're one of those people. Because obviously, if you're not one of those people, no, you should not do it. And no, you should not be driving on the highway on it either. But I mean, it's one of those things where at first, I first time I did mushrooms, I remember the first time I did mushrooms. I went to Gainesville. I went to Gainesville, Florida, and I think it was like 1995. So yeah, I was like 20 years old. I was 20 years old. I went to Gainesville, Florida. Um, my brother was in college. I went up there to visit him. And I don't know if they still do it, but back then they had something that they called the Alachua Music Festival, right? And that year, George Clinton and P-Funk All-Stars, so, you know, members of Parliament Funkadelic, were playing live. And my brother was in college. I took a train up there to hang out with him. And he was in college, and he was like, yeah, figure you'll just go to the festival, in the early afternoon, and just kind of, I don't know, walk around, watch some of the bands, because I got to study. And then I'll meet you there later tonight. So I was like, okay, cool. And I remember this is 1995. There's no cell phones. I mean, people had cell phones, but not at a music festival. And it was, I get there, I'm walking around. Most of the bands fucking suck. It was just most of them. And I get to a payphone because like 4:00 comes around. I'd been there since like 11 or 12. And 4:00 comes around in the afternoon. And of course, there's a payphone on the grounds of this thing, and there's a long line. So I'm waiting in line. I get on the phone. I call my brother, and I'm like, "Hey, man, like, are you gonna come out here anytime soon? Because it's boring as fuck." And the bands that he was gonna see, he was like, they're not coming on until like 7 or 8. It's like another 4 hours. I was bored out of my mind, and I'm just walking around this place, and then. My brother's like, sorry, man, I got to study. And I'm like, fuck. All right. So I hang up the phone. Guy behind me overhears my conversation. He's like, you here by yourself, man? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, shit, man. Come with me. I know a bunch of people here, and they'll just, no need for you to be hanging out by yourself, And I was like, well, thanks, man. That's cool. And we walked around, and he had a big bottle of Captain Morgan in his backpack. So I started swigging that, which was nice. And then we end up meeting people sitting in a circle that were his friends, just sitting there hanging out. And he introduced me and sat around. We smoked and we hung out and talked shit, and everybody had a little something to drink, and it was fun. And then he introduced me to another bunch of people. And then they were all smoking, and we were just talking and laughing. And then he introduced me to another bunch of people, and then that bunch of people had a big old bag of shrooms, and they gave me some. I'd never done them, and I was like, fuck yeah. I had done acid before, so I wasn't afraid to do shrooms, but I had done acid before. And I was like, all right. And I ate a bunch of these shrooms, and then it was just before the band that opened for George Clinton. It was just before they went on. So when they came on, it was great. They were called, they were a local band. They were called What It Is. I'll never forget that. What It Is. That was what they were called. And they were like a funk band too, and then they finished their set, and P-Funk came on, and I have never, to this day, seen a better live performance. I've never. I mean, and it was perfect because I didn't know what to expect. And if you go and YouTube footage of like old George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic performances, you're going to be like, wow. This wasn't that, but it was still quite the sight to see in that condition, because the sun was setting over them, and that looked amazing. And and the guitarist was dressed like a nun and had Ray-Bans on, and he shredded. George Clinton, if you know who George Clinton is, he, gray beard and like really rainbow colored dreads. And the bassist only had a diaper on. He was wearing a big diaper. And they were smoking, and they were just smoking weed. They were throwing joints out into the crowd. And they were the tightest live band that I've ever heard. And there were just a dozen people on stage playing different instruments. And it was the funkiest, heaviest shit I ever heard. And I've never been the same since. I mean, yeah, that was insane. And then if you go and look at history, like Mike Judge did a series, which was really cool. Mike Judge, who created Beavis and Butthead, did the movie Office Space. He has this animated series on Cinemax where it's like Tales from the Road or whatever. And it's animated, but he has like the real people, like in animated form, they're being interviewed. So when they're being interviewed, you're not seeing them, you're just seeing the animated versions of them. And they talk, he does an episode on James Brown. He does an episode on Parliament. He does an episode on he even does a bunch of country artists too, which is really, really good. So these people, when they're on the road in the 60s and 70s and 80s, it's insane. It's just not like that anymore. It's just not like that anymore. Everybody's tamed, everybody's just, yeah. I mean, and that's okay. It's just, things are different, a lot different nowadays than they were before. Very strange. Dude. Yeah, man. I'm telling you right now. It's, yeah. Yeah, that was an incredible experience. I had the time of my life, but I was 20. You know what I mean? Nowadays, if I do that, because the last time I did mushrooms, it actually wasn't that long ago. Before that, it was just a few months ago. I'd gone to Atlanta, and it was fun. Like that's something that I can do and be like, I always know that it's just going to be a fun experience. This time was actually kind of boring. I couldn't find anything new to watch. One thing that I really like to do is just find a movie that I'd never really seen before, or something that I've seen that I know would be awesome. But there's a few go-tos that I do, and I've seen them so many times, and I was really itching for something new. And there was a lot of times where I just laid there with my eyes closed, didn't even do anything but just think, which was also really, really cool. And I mean, but then, yeah, when I logged on to Mexi's live, man, I that was way too much. That was way too much. Hey, save Robbie. Oh, yeah, Mom is in here. What's up, Joan Cares? How we doing? Yeah, man. So, Yeah, tonight, like I said, I just wanted to hang out. I actually like I could have started the the Daybell Dallo thing tonight, but I mean, I just didn't feel like it tonight, you know? I have not heard of Twisted Heads Collective. All right, good night, Mama of Three. Dude, yo, at the risk of going a little drama here, Robbie's been doing yeah, Caleb, I know that. Suzanne Morphew case has been silent. I mean, they don't have anything, you know? I mean, she's just missing. They don't have anything to arrest anybody on. They don't have any leads that we know of. Um, yeah, but Robbie's been, Robbie's been doing this impression of this Southern lady. I don't even know who she is, but I guess she had some trouble with Mexi doing the Watts thing, going to the Watts house, whatever. I mean, people need to like. I mean, I get it. You know, I get feeling a certain way about it. I do. I honestly do. I get feeling a certain way about it. But I mean, but really, like, is it really hurting anybody? Like, shut the fuck up. Just don't watch it. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like I don't, you know, like I trash talk people who cover the Watts case just to cover the Watts case. Like if you're like obsessed over it, like I'm, you know, and no, not trying to throw shade on Save Robbie, man, but he had this person on his panel that I just did not agree with, man. She was throwing out all kinds of crazy fucking theories that just didn't even add up, and I was like, dude, what in the hell is this person talking about? And it's like to me, now I'm just gonna state my opinion here. To me, that's what's disrespectful to the family. To just stir up things. Because the point is, in my personal opinion, when you're victims, when your family is victim to a crime like this, and it's high profile, you know, I in my opinion, you know, once the case is closed, you know, I get like bringing it up here and there in conversation, referencing the case. You know, I mean, we do that all the time. We do that with Watts. We do that with Casey Anthony. We do that with Scott Peterson. We do that with all kinds of. You know, we do it all the time. What I'm saying here is though, is I mean, you know, to me, what's detrimental to the family is when you don't have anything substantiated and you're screaming, and this is the most important thing. I kept hearing this person go, I want justice for Shanann and those kids. She kept saying that. I want justice for Shanann and those kids. Well, part of that justice is letting their family just go on with their lives peacefully because they got justice. The person responsible, according to a court of law, is locked up and in prison. And that's it. If there was anything to arrest Nicole Kessinger, they would have arrested her. There's the only evidence that she's guilty of. There's the only evidence of anything that she's guilty of is just being a thirsty hoe. You know what I'm saying? Like, just okay. That doesn't make anybody a murderer, dude. And the fact of the matter is if they could have pinned it on her, they would have. And Chris Watts is such a bitch, he would have thrown her under the fucking bus. You sit there, you're going to tell me on one side of your mouth, you're going to tell me that Chris Watts was a coward who killed his wife and kids because he's a coward, because he couldn't live up to responsibility. And then on the other side of your mouth, you're going to tell me that he has this strong, loyal love to Nicole Kessinger to where he's going to do life in prison and not cut a deal to throw her under the bus if she's involved. That doesn't make sense. Get out of my face. No. There's no fucking deep love story between these two. Y'all are just making this drama out of people's real lives, dude. That's it. The case is closed. It's done. Now, see, Cherry K, if I open the panel up, then it's going to turn into a big Chris Watts discussion. I don't want that. It's just, I find it irritating, dude. Like, that on one side of your mouth, you're saying you want justice for these victims. But on the other side of your mouth, you're in no way considering their families. And how this is how all your drama that you're putting all over YouTube over it is affecting them. And affecting their way of moving forward peacefully. Now, I get talking about the case and trying to study the psychology behind what happened, but making up things that are unsubstantiated is disrespectful to their memory, and it's disrespectful to the family. You don't have any proof of anything. You just have these wild theories. She's sitting there going, who opened the door? Who opened the door in the video? Blah, blah, blah. Dude, you know who opened the fucking door? You know who I think opened the door? Fucking Dieter, the dog. The door was ajar. He's loading shit into his truck. He's not closing the door all the way. The dog is going to peek out or open the door and wonder where the hell dad is going and what's going on. That's what a dog does. Nobody wants to think of that. People want to think there's somebody else there. There's somebody else there. That's fucking crazy. Because you don't see anybody else. You simply don't see anyone else. Oh, thank you. Thank you guys for the PayPals. I appreciate it. I mean, nobody ever wants to apply Occam's razor, where the simplest answer is probably the correct one, right? Right. Mama Bear, 613, we're like, there, dude. 0613 Mama Bear. I love it. I mean, it's not that hard, dude. It's not even that hard. And then she's making things up about wind blowing things away. Yeah, no, and I get the argument. Oh, okay, well, Chris Watts is a big liar, so we can't believe anything that he said. We could believe the fact that he knew where those bodies were buried. We could believe the fact that he described how he did it. Can't we? mean, yeah, man, it's so silly to me, dude. It's so silly. It's like it's more than 2 years after this dude pled guilty in a court of law. And you're gonna sit there and he's sitting there spewing out all kinds of stuff, sitting in prison, no chance of getting out. No chance of getting out. Guess what his one chance of getting out is? You want to know what his one chance of getting out is? Cutting a deal to bring someone else down with him. Cutting a deal to prove that somebody else was involved, that he had accomplices. That's his one chance of getting out. And that's slim. You're going to tell me he's not going to take that? A fucking spineless piece of shit like Chris Watts is not going to take that. People, think. Get real. Get real. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. And these are smart people coming to these conclusions. That's what blows my mind. I wouldn't get mad if they were stupid. These are smart people coming to these conclusions, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about right now? And if you notice, and I've always said this, you never hear me really talking about the Watts case. I'm always talking about people who keep following the Watts case. That's always the main topic. That's always the theme. When I'm discussing the Watts case, what I'm really talking about are people who won't stop talking about the Watts case. Consistently, every time. Every time. Now, I mean, and I'm not even trashing anybody who discusses it, because there's a lot to look over, there's a lot to consider. But as long as you're accepting what happened as what happened, because it is simple. I'm not sitting here, I mean, I totally get being so, I don't want to use the word obsessed, because that's obsessive. What I'm saying is so interested, so fascinated with a particular case that you constantly talk about it. Okay, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're accepting what actually happened, and you're just exploring the whys and not the whats, because the what is already established. The how is already established. The why, that's not. I think so. I have my opinions on that, but that merits speculation. The what and the how don't. Not anymore. But the why absolutely merits speculation. And that shit was hilarious. That was one of the best times I ever had on this channel. I'm not even trying to lie. When me and Sam Robbie were watching that Lifetime movie in real time, that was one of the best times I ever had on this channel. It was super fun. Fake fit fun. Exactly. Like, dude, if you read something enough times, it doesn't matter what it is. I don't give a shit what it is. It could be a front to back novel. It is what it is. The story is what it is. And if you read it enough times and you start overthinking it, you're going to come to your own conclusion as to how it translates and what it means. That's what anybody's going to do. When you don't want something to be that way so bad enough, you're just going to make crazy shit up. Yeah, it was still fun though, Robbie. I'm not saying, I mean, like, we would have had just as much fun had you been sober. So, you know what I mean? I don't even want to hear that shit. Yeah, and see, I love that about Robbie. That's why I don't give Robbie shit about it, because he does stuff like he doesn't know what he's talking about anyway. No offense. It's just he's he's listening to hearsay and he's exploring the hearsay from what he hears. I think that that's fine because he admits it. He doesn't pretend to be a Watts expert. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just don't. It's so funny to me, dude. Dude, yeah, I'm not even trying to say like don't talk about the Watts case. I'm not doing that. Just saying, stop making shit up and causing problems. Like I'm one of the first people where I'm like, you know what, Frankie Jr. He should just stay the fuck off the internet, you know. But at the same time, why should they have to? You know what I mean? Why can't we just have enough respect for what went on? Like if this dude's not asking for hey, let's put that bitch behind bars. You know what I mean? Like if he's not doing that, he's just like, I just want my family to move on in peace. I want people to quit talking shit about my family. I want people to quit trashing my family. Well, why can't people do that? You know what I mean? Because if you're spreading rumors, even though it's not something, if you're starting, your mind goes to some place, and then you basically put it out on the internet, you're basically starting a rumor if it's something that cannot be proven to be true. May not even be something bad. It could even be something good. But at the same time, it's false memories of this person's family member who was murdered. So isn't that disrespectful to him? Isn't that disrespectful to his mom, dad? Isn't that disrespectful to even what side of the family? Think they wanted their son to be a murderer and kill their grandchildren? You know what I mean? Like, that's all I'm saying. I'm saying do what you want, but don't sit there and act like it's in the name of justice, because that's bullshit. Talk. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what not to talk about. You know what I mean? Do whatever the fuck you want. YouTube's like that. You should be able to talk about whatever the fuck you want. Cool. That's fine. I'm saying you're disrespectful as fuck if you're doing that. And that is the main reason why you don't get to call it looking for justice, because you're not fucking looking for justice. You're looking to stir the pot of your little circle of people. Make no mistake, this isn't about Shanann or the kids or anything like that. It's about you stirring shit up in your little circle to get some sort of significance for yourself. I mean, that's all that is. And some of the creators, I don't even blame. There's creators that clearly just do it for money, clickbait. They do it for super chats or whatever, and that's fine. I don't even blame the creators. Y'all who do it, y'all who sit there and just like, I gotta know. I gotta know. We gotta talk about the same thing we've talked about 100 times and go over the same shit that we've gone over 100 times in the last 2 years. Like, to me, that's insane behavior. Yes, tattoos lulas. Yes. Um Now, that's another thing, man. I'm not gonna be covering that, I don't think. I mean, there's already great channels that are doing such a great job. I mean, I'll give my opinions, and I'll as far as the updates go when it comes to the West Boys, um, it was a California City investigation, and now Bakersfield has taken it over because that's where the boys actually came from. And then it looks like they're believed to have probably disappeared from there. And that's why Bakersfield is taken over. And Duty Ron is doing a great job covering that. 10 to Life, Annie is doing a fantastic job covering it as well. So the information that you get, absolutely, those are the two go-tos that I would recommend that you go to get any up-to-date, thorough information. Yeah, try not to mention other creators in the chat if you can, guys. I mean, I'm not, or at least in a negative light, I prefer we try to keep that to a minimum moving forward here, guys. Yeah. So yeah, that press conference with the chief of Bakersfield Police, that was really cool too. I like that guy, man. I like that guy. He was making me feel very comfortable. I was chatting with someone earlier today, and I was explaining why I feel that when I hear a chief of police say we're not discussing that part of the investigation because we do not, and he was super understanding too. He was like, I understand that people want answers, people miss our boys, and he referred to them as our boys. Very, 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 very thoughtful way that he delivered the information, what he was saying, not standing up there very pompous, going, yeah, well, I want to tell you more, but I'm not gonna. He wasn't anything like that. He was very, very empathetic to the listeners, and he was basically saying, that he does not want to damage the integrity of the investigation, and that's why he's playing things close to the chest. And I completely and totally agree with that, because you got to think, guys, the less that any suspects know, as far as what law enforcement knows, the less that the suspect knows what law enforcement knows, the more they're bound to panic, especially if there's numerous people involved. And if you're like me, when it comes to the West Boys, Orrin and Orson, if you're like me, you think there's more than one person involved in this. And what happens is, if there are multiple people involved, then their minds are going to start racing. And it's just a matter of time. Usually, if you're lucky, one of them will flip on the other. One of them will try to put all the blame on the other. One of them will not be able to take it anymore. And, and they know they've got law enforcement breathing down their neck, and you don't know what they know yet. And what if this other person is going to flip on me? So I better beat them to the punch and flip on them. So that's what you want to happen. And it also helps, I would imagine. I'm not a law enforcement officer, but I would imagine that it also helps with interrogation, because you're not showing all your cards. You can catch them on a lie. You can find out if they're liars. By throwing something out there, something that you ask a question, not knowing that you actually know the real answer to, and then if they tell you the wrong answer, then they're a liar, and then you can get an idea of how they're going to lie and what they're going to lie about. And maybe they have tells when they lie, and you can differentiate when they're lying and when they're telling the truth based on certain tells, based on certain physical characteristics that their personality puts out there. So I'm just spitballing. I'm imagining that's how it works. So obviously it would take years of training to be able to do that and do it well. But I'm imagining that that's one of the biggest reasons why they don't like to let public information, or that they let investigation information leak to the public. So I'm not in this for the information. I want the information. I want to know what happens. But first and foremost, what I want is justice for these boys. I want them to be found, and I want them to. I want the people who are responsible for their disappearance to be brought to justice. So that comes first and foremost. So when law enforcement says things like, we know you want that information, but we're not willing to put that out there just yet because it would hinder our investigation. Well, that's enough for me to go, yeah, man, keep that shit to yourself. Do what you got to do. Catch these bastards. And then we'll talk about it on YouTube when the time comes, So that's kind of my attitude when it comes to these cases. So, when you're so itching to know what's going on and what does law enforcement know so far, well, just try to keep that in mind, that's just my opinion. Yeah, tattoos, Lulis. I'm with you. That's the sad thing is, we know Joe Clyde Jr. is dead. His father admitted to killing him, unless they sold him. But why would he admit to murder unless he knows they couldn't prove it? But why would he admit to murder and face a murder charge rather than a desertion charge or child trafficking charge? So I mean, a really, really disgusting thought that really, really gets to me is when it comes to trafficking and child trafficking, what better victim is there than a child who is nonverbal? So that's a scary thought. But at the same time, if that's the case, then there's a chance of finding him alive. Yeah, Cristola S. I mean, that's the thing is no matter how you cut it, these kids are victims. No matter how you cut it. And the sad thing is, man, we're looking at a couple of cases here. We're looking at a couple of cases here where people that we know are guilty could get off on technicalities. The burden of proof is on the prosecution, man. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. All the defense has to do is create doubt. That's all they have to do. That's not going to be difficult. The question is can they create enough doubt against the case that the prosecution brings to trial? Diane McCall. As far as I know, she's doing well. She has her own channel. If any of the mods want to drop the link to her channel, she's got a channel. She did a live stream the other night that I thought was great. It's very insightful. She's a very insightful person. And she was spreading a message of kindness, which was really, really cool. I was really into it. Yeah, me too. Don't mess with Texas. I'm concerned about that. But I'm also concerned about the Dave Alvalo thing, man. You know, I'm real, like, because it's, dude. Can you imagine? You imagine what it's going to be like if they walk on some bullshit, like. Can you imagine if they walk on that shit? You know how angry the public's going to be over that? I mean, I could speak for myself. I'm going to be furious, but I'm going to be rational enough to understand that it's hard for the prosecution to have a solid case. Now, we don't know what kind of evidence they have. Hopefully, they have some real solid evidence, because the evidence that we know about are phone pings and bodies that they found. But what we don't know is we don't know text messages. You know, we don't know communication. We don't know what evidence they have. Hopefully, they have something that, you know, but if they did, guys, realistically speaking, if they did, both of them, or at least one of them, would be charged with something related to a murder charge. Yeah, make sure y'all sub to that girl. Cherry K dropped the link in chat. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, the Daybell case is something else, man. Once you connect everything, I mean, and it's just delusional people, man. Like, Lori Vallo's mom is fucking, she's a good mom, I guess. You know, she's loyal to her kids, but she's also like blind to the obvious, it seems like. I didn't know you had a channel, Lil Red. Yo, drop Lil Red's, drop her thing in there too, man. Yeah, man. Cherry K is something else. I love seeing she's almost in every chat that I go into. Because I mean, I don't go live as much as I was before. I will be now. There's a lot to go over. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be talking about. But I'm still pretty active, like, in the community, because I'm always in somebody's chat. My man Zod, He was in the chat earlier, and I was in his chat before that. I love his chat. I love General Zod's chat, man, because he's super fun. I don't agree with everything, but we're talking about lighthearted stuff like pop culture. Cancel culture is not exactly lighthearted, but there's some things I agree with them on that, and some things I don't. But I love that. That's the type of thing. That's the type of topic that needs to be talked about by people who disagree with each other in a rational fashion. That is exactly the type of topic that needs that. That needs everyone to exercise their First Amendment rights. Your right to your opinion and be able to discuss it like civilized human beings. That's exactly what we should be doing. And we were doing that in Zod's chat, and I loved it. And that happens every time. Happens in Rob's Rules chats too. Rob's Rules is super dope. I love that dude. What's up, St. Elmo's Fire? Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate it, man. What's up, Nikki Rex? I don't make you do nothing. I appreciate the work you do. Now I'm used to it. Now I'm spoiled by it. But but I don't make nobody do nothing. Y'all, I mean, yeah, y'all, you know, um, stuff you guys do as mods in my chat, I'm super grateful for. Dude, my stomach's growling, dude. I gotta eat, bro. I don't want to though. Like I'm thinking about doing intermittent fasting. I'm thinking about that, man. I did it 2 years ago, but I only did it for like 8 days. JK, stop it. No, I'm trying not to eat, man. Gramsci's life, I appreciate it. A little bit, y'all. Yeah, man. I mean, because I know me, I know what I'm gonna end up doing. I'm gonna end up going to the store. Because not only did I take a nap, but now I'm all hopped up on coffee. I'm gonna end up going to the store, and I'm gonna end up buying a bunch of fucking munchies. You need to gain 10 pounds. You can have 10 pounds of mine if you want. Jana, hey, 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 or Janae, hey, hey, hey. Yeah, I mean, you said the same thing like exactly twice. You know, she doesn't know if you're fucking with her or not. I saw it. It was positive, but I mean, she just didn't know if you were fucking with her or not. Yeah, man. Yeah, dude. Like I'm back to the weight that I was when I first started working out. Now, some of it is muscle mass that I've gained, but very little of it because I haven't really gained much at all. Um, but yeah, yeah, it's mostly here. It's mostly right here. Janessa P, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with that statement. Oh, yeah, I didn't know that, Diane McCall. That's interesting. That's interesting. Oh, that girl's here? Hey, what's up? But you just, man, yeah, I was actually just about to call it at an hour and 30. So you missed it. I'm sorry. But it's good to see you. Everybody subscribe to that girl's channel because I think it's going to do very, very well. I believe that is exactly what she should be doing. She is, I believe she is beyond modding at this point and should be at creator status, most definitely. But guys, I love y'all very, very, very much. I'm probably gonna break down and go buy some food, some junk food. But I love you, and we will do this again very soon, my friends.